Hey neighbor, today we're talking about one of my favorite things that I've ever owned, and it is my greenhouse. I put this greenhouse in a few years ago, and not all greenhouses are created equal, and nor should they be. A greenhouse up north should be different than a greenhouse down south because we have different issues we have to face. But this greenhouse right here has served me well for being in the south because it has such good ventilation as we have here on the side with these windows right here that go up and down. Also, it's a pretty strong, sturdy greenhouse. Now I do have the poly on it right here that I've had to replace, I think 3 times, but I've enjoyed it. It's one of the best dollars I've ever spent. I'm up here in the greenhouse at least 2 to 3 times a day, every day. Think in my previous life, I was a greenhouse grower. I just love growing plants in the greenhouse. So it's been money well spent for me. Now we use this greenhouse to grow all of our starts for our vegetable garden that we show you guys on YouTube. We also use it to trial certain varieties. And this beet system in here is wire on one side and it has these bars on the other side. And it really works well because I can put different type trays up there and and it accommodate those size trays, because sometimes I may use a big tray, sometimes a small tray. On this side here where I have the wire right here, that works good when I use a germination mat. I can put down there and germinate my plants, and once I get them germinated I can move them off of that. I think this thing is 16 foot long. I got this greenhouse from a company down here in the south called Atlas Greenhouse, which is a big greenhouse supplier. Now I'm lucky enough to have them about 70-75 miles from where I live. So if I need components or anything like that, I can run over there and get it, or if we need poly, we can run and get it. And when I first was looking at greenhouses, I was able to go over there and see what they had. They had several ones set up and I could pick the one I wanted. And this one for a hobby greenhouse works extremely well. Now it's not the prettiest one out there because it does use the poly, and if you wanted to use those corrugated panels that a lot of people use, it would probably look a little bit better if you're worried about how it looks in a subdivision or something like that. But for a homestead situation, this one right here, it works extremely well. Now one thing that I did do on my greenhouse that most people don't is I did pour concrete and lay one layer of block down here for the footing. So I wanted to make it have a good footing there to put it on, to make sure it was level. If I had it do over again, I'd do that same thing again. I'd make sure that I had a good foundation to put the greenhouse on, because if you just simply put it on some 2x4s, it can get out of whack, or you get a big windstorm in here and it can maybe blow away. This one right here has made it through 2 hurricanes with no damage whatsoever. Extremely sturdy and has served us well. But we're doing something different. We're installing one of these. This is what they call a vegetable transplant house. This particular one is 400 feet long and 35 foot wide. The one we're putting in is exactly like this right here, 35 foot long, but only 150 foot long. We're putting this at our new location in Moultrie. We're going to keep our small greenhouse that we've got now at our main office there, but we're putting this in to grow more plants, to grow more transplants. We're going to be growing berry plants and things like that. We're also going to be using it as a staging area where we have plants before we pack. And what is neat about these right here is the automation these things offer. First of all, it has these heaters in here that are automatically controlled. Now these particular ones here run off LP. Ours will be running off of natural gas from the city, and that'll save us some money. But these heaters here, these 2 on each end, these things right here have thermostats in them, so I don't have to get up in the middle of the night to make sure that we're maintaining the temperature. They automatically come on and go off as they need to maintain certain temperatures. Also, it has this curtain system that I love from here in the south here that allows us to get the right amount of ventilation in here. And what's neat about this curtain system right here is it lowers and raises on a system here that automatically does it to maintain a certain temperature. So you don't have to manually come out here and do this. So if you're out of town, you're not able to get over here, it will automatically raise and lower according to what you set the temperature that you want to maintain in there. And that's huge. Also, an automated irrigation system that works computerized as well. So you can set this to come on with a timer, to come on and go off, or you can have an app on your phone. If you're out of town or whatever, you can actually water from your phone. Turn the irrigation system on and let it water, and turn it off from your phone, or have it automatically set up on a timer system. That again is awesome. On the second side of this right here, you see on the same watering system here, we have a spray nozzle. So the first side here is for water. The second side back here is for spray if we want to spray insecticides, fungicides, or whatever. Y'all use it through the same boom. The boom system works from the top, so we're not taking up the walkway here. And also, we have this tank here that we can put our fertilizers in. We can put our insecticides in, we can put our fungicides in. Anything that we need to run through the system, we put in a tank just like this right here, pump it through our system so we can inject everything. Spray system, a flood system, water system on top, all computerized. And we will have fans periodically through the greenhouse here to keep air circulation going so we can minimize our disease. We keep our humidity down. The main thing is keeping that airflow going, and that'll make a big difference on the quality of plants we can grow, keeping the disease off from those leaves. Now with the greenhouse, one of the main things is not to waste any space, because every inch of the greenhouse is important to utilize as much as possible so you can justify that greenhouse here. I went back and forth on what type of system I wanted to hold the trays in here. I first looked at a solid system that we could put any kind of tray on. It was kind of like that wire mesh type thing. They call it the rolling bench system. But I went back and forth on that, and I decided not to go with that, and I decided to go with what they call the T-rail system, is what you see right here. This T-rail system was designed for this tray right here. This is our Proptek tray that we sell, the 338, the 162, and the 128. Also, they make them in a styrofoam type tray, same size tray. And this T-rail system is used pretty much exclusively for all the commercial greenhouses that grow vegetable transplants. So this T-rail system here works extremely well for that, because it accommodates this tray right here, and you can push them to the outside and continue to load them up, and it just works really well. Now, most of the commercial plant growers here in the South use these styrofoam trays, and they are pretty much the same thing as our Proptek trays, with the exception they're made out of styrofoam. And the reason they do that is on kind of weight. The weight of this styrofoam tray is a good bit less than this tray right here, and when they load a truck down to go up north, out west, or wherever, a lot of these plants travel a long distance ways, cuts down on the weight in the truck so the truck is not overloaded. So that's one of the biggest issues with this right here. I mean, the biggest benefits of the styrofoam. Another thing too is they're cheaper. They're probably a little less than half the cost of this Proptek tray. And if the farmer sends some of these out west or up north or wherever, and the farmer loses some of them, or they break some of them, or they get damaged, whatever, the cost of what they lost is not near as much. They're able to stomach that somewhat. So that's most of the reasons the styrofoam trays are used. However, the benefit of these Proptek trays is they're way sturdier. The lifetime of these is going to be way more than this right here. If you take care of these, probably 2 to 3 years. If you take care of these, it'll last you a lifetime. These things here are extremely sturdy. But if you're sending them off to a farmer and you think you may not get some of them back, or they're going to be misused, probably not the one to use. This tray right here works perfect for somebody that's growing their own transplants, and they're going to have these trays to wash and to reuse themselves, and they don't have to worry about getting them damaged or getting them lost. They will last a lot longer, and I think it is a superior tray in that situation. And we use these trays a lot to grow our transplants. So that's the reason I want to go with this T-rail system. Now, you've probably seen in some of my videos, some of the plants we get grown now come in these styrofoam trays. With our new greenhouse, we'll probably exclusively use these Proptek trays, because we won't have to worry about them going anywhere. We'll have full ownership of these trays all the time, so we can keep up with them. And like I said, they'll last a lot longer. We'll put them in here like this right here. We got 3 different sizes. We got 128, which as the name implies, 128 cells per tray. We have 162, which is kind of in the middle of the 338 and 128, and then we have the 338. Now the 338 here is what most of the brassicas are grown in, because it don't take much of a root ball for those. The 162, in my opinion, is probably, if you're just going to have one, it's probably the best, because it's kind of the best of both worlds. A lot of watermelons are grown in the 128, but the 162 was probably the first one we carried, and I probably use it more than I do anything else. So I anticipate probably using the 162 more than I do the other two. However, we'll use all 3 of them. The neat thing about this T-rail system, if we decide we want to go with a different size tray, we can simply just put these Proptek trays in there and use them as a bench, and put our other trays, if we want to use a smaller tray, on top. So with this system right here, the cost was about half what it was with the rolling bench system, and we can use our Proptek trays, or we can put these down and use these as a bench. So I think it's the best of both worlds. The front of these greenhouses utilize this corrugated material right here that's a lot sturdier than plastic. Also, it's all metal construction. We don't have any wood in it. On the sides, we have this woven material, and on the top is simply just poly. Poly needs to be replaced every few years, and it needs to be washed. You can see this one's getting a little nasty now. So you have to wash them. There is some upkeep to it, but this is the way to go for a greenhouse this size to get the most for your money. So our goal is to have this new greenhouse up in a new location in Moultrie by January of 2025. This will allow us to do a better job growing our plants, and I want to grow our strawberry plants. I want to grow a lot of berry plants and things like that, so we can control the input. And these type systems right here, you can control all of the environment, so your margin of error of getting diseases or crop failure is very, very low. It's a wonderful system, been thought out, been used for a long time. I love the automation of it. So if you're not around, you can automatically do all this kind of stuff and adjust for it. We're excited about that, and that's one of the new things we got coming for 2025 is a new commercial greenhouse.